This book, our constitution, protects our society and empowers us to govern. The Protea leaves are us, the people, who freely elect our voices in Parliament. The drum calls the people of Parliament, through whom we govern together. And the sun is our country, healing our past, improving our lives, and energizing our potential. Together, our constitution, our people, our parliament, and our country are building our great South African nation. Parliament TV, Channel 408 on DSTV.
Welcome to Parliament TV. You are watching us live from the Parliament studios here in Cape Town. I am Tepo Mori. Parliament strives to represent the people and ensure government by the people under the Constitution, as well as represent the provinces in the national sphere of government. This mandate of Parliament is achieved through passing legislation, overseeing government action and facilitating of public involvement, cooperative government and international participation. As an organ of state, through legislative and other measures, Parliament must assist and protect the courts and state institutions to ensure the independence, impartiality, dignity, accessibility and effectiveness of these. This mandate of Parliament determines its reason for its existence. Today's focus is on lawmaking, one of the many responsibilities that Parliament bears and fulfills through its committees. Introduced in the previous administration in May of 2023, the Merchant Shipping Bill is one of the important bills that is undergoing the lawmaking processes of Parliament and is currently sitting with the Portfolio Committee on Transport. To talk to us more about committee's first 100 days of office, the recent oversight visit to various public entities and the Merchant Shipping Bill is the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, Mr. Donald Slamulel. Let's take a look and see and get to know the Chairperson. Stay tuned. This is the Know Your Chairperson of Parliament series. Welcome, and I am Tepo Mori. I am here in studio with Ntate Selamulela. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, the joy is mine, and greetings to you and to your viewers.
Thank you. Just let us know who is Ntate Selamulela and what committee does he chair?
I'm Donald Slamlela, a deployee who appears and is a member of the African National Congress to the 7th Parliament. I'm hail from Limpopo. I'm now a member of Parliament and a chair of Portfolio Committee on Transport.
And what are some of the primary goals or the primary mandates of the committee that you chair?
Look, this is a very, very critical committee because, as you may be aware, transport and logistics in the country is the center of economic drive and economic development. And some of the challenges that, as we're going to these elections, and these are the realities of our time and realities of our day-on-daily basis, is that we have a serious challenge of an economy that is not growing, economy that does not support development, economy that does not create jobs, especially for the downtrodden masses of our people, the rural youth. The economy doesn't give them jobs. So we're going to have to see how this particular transport, as a nucleus of economic drive, it is going to assist us in that particular regard. And that is the reason why we say this is a very, very critical committee. And I think we are mandated to come here and ensure that in our oversight, in our law-making process, we take interest of the fact that how are we going to assist in ensuring that the economy grow to respond to the needs of the people on the ground.
Now, on the back of that, you spoke about oversight and accountability, which is the mandate of the committee. How are you then going to ensure that there is effective oversight and accountability on the ministry that you're responsible for and the other stakeholders that the committee is responsible for?
Look, first and foremost is that as an oversight committee, we need to engage with the first with the ministry and of course with the entities and other stakeholders in the portfolio, to engage them in a manner that doesn't show prejudice first, but also that doesn't show fear, but also that doesn't show favor. We need to always at material time, as we engage with them, have at the back of our mind the very understanding that we are acting for and on behalf of the people, and thus whatever the ministry would have committed in terms of the performance plan would have passed, the budget allocation would have appropriated, we should make sure that there is adherence without fear, favor or prejudice in that particular regard. And any form of omission or commission that is outside that particular expectation should really be accounted for. That does not only limit to the ministry, but it goes also to all the entities that reports within the very department. But also we need to find a way of engaging with the stakeholders. It can be the commuters, it can be the users, the drivers of the taxi industry, the bus industry, and all others part of the industries that move goods and people. We need to find a way of ensuring that there is a seamless process and seamless engagement, particularly as it will be coming to lawmaking process, so that there is no congruence, so there is no a sort of hostility between what happens at the level of government and what happens at the level of the users. And we should be that particular glue that sticks everyone together towards the cause of the people, which is economic drive and economic development.
Of course, we had the sixth administration, and there's a legacy report that the committee will have to deal with. What are some of the standing issues that your committee will have to hit the ground running, that are seemingly like thorns that need to be attended to now?
There are a lot of challenges that would have been passed forward to us. We did receive and had an opportunity to deal with the legacy report. But appealing and outstanding issue is the developments at about the road accident fund. As you may know, that the fund is sitting with a lot of challenges. Some are external to it and some are intrinsic or internal to it. These are some of the things that the area that we're going to be focusing on. The Passenger Rail Association, the PRASA, is also having some challenges, and we've noted in the last term serious improvement in it. We'll be zooming also into it to ensure that through our oversight we also give the necessary support for it really to reach the desired level, so that it can then be able to move our people. Because when you move our people and at a very reasonable, efficient and effective economic way, you would then be able to contribute positively to economy. Our people should not strive to reach the places of jobs. They should not strive to reach the places of their homes when they leave from jobs. They must be able to reach that in an economic and efficient and effective way. And it is our strong belief that if PRASA, entities such as PRASA, are given that necessary support, we stay side by side with them to travel this particular journey, we could play a meaningful role to contribute positively to the economy, but to impact directly on the lives of the people. Our people struggles with bus fares to go, fare to work, fare back to homes, and so forth. But also just those who are not working, they are incapacitated to really go and look for jobs, to really go and interface with potential employers and so forth. The kids that are going to school who are still subject, especially those who are on the tertiary level of education, who fare between their homes and places of school, especially in metros, they need the type of support that must come from entities such as PRASA. South African Road Agency Limited also has been doing very, very well in the previous term. We need to give support in relation to it, so that we ensure that all the roads in the country, the road networks, support economic drive equally on the same base. We'll be looking also into that. We'll be giving support to that. There are, of course, emerging issues from as would you have said, from the legacy report that we'll have just to focus on in relation to that.
And now, talking about the people, how are you now, as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, going to ensure that yourself and your committee members are accessible to the people and they know the workings of the committee and they get involved in decision making?
Look, a medium like this one that we are currently using, it plays a very, very critical role. We just emerged now from a workshop where we're dealing with how best do we use the communication system of Parliament to reach as many people as possible, taking advantage of the IR, your podcast channels that we have, and all other, including our social media spaces that we need to use. We also have, beyond the just using communication, public participation process, especially when we zoom into lawmaking. How do we ensure that the public participation process in every bill that we may be interrogating or prosecuting at a time, how are we going to ensure that we use this public participation process? How we're going to be using and striving towards a public participation process is going to be very, very important to bring us closer to our people.
Thank you so much. That is Selamulela, and he is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Transport. Thank you.
And that was the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, Mr. Donald Selamulela, who is in studio with us to unpack the work of the committee. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you, and greetings to you.
Chair, of course, let's just go over the first 100 days of your committee in office. Of course, transport is a comprehensive portfolio. Briefly explain what the role of the committee is.
Look, we have a very huge portfolio in terms of transport. We have a responsibility, as you correctly alluded to, oversee the entire transport portfolio in the country, which start from our waters in the seas and oceans, which moves through our airspace. All entities in the airspace move into the road and move into rail. So we have oversight, regulatory responsibility, oversight responsibility over all the aspects of transport in the country. You talk of maritime, as I said, in our seas. You talk of airway, South African Airways, Airport Company South Africa, ATNS, and Civil Aviation Authority. We oversee them. We oversee SANRAL, we oversee RTMC, we oversee RTIA, we oversee cross-border. We also oversee passenger rail of South Africa. We also oversee Transnet. So we are overseeing a broader spectrum of the transport portfolio in the country.
Now, of course, with that, you've just mentioned that you're responsible for your SANRALs, you're responsible for your PRASAs. What were the key priorities that the committee committed to for the transport sector in the first 100 days?
Look, the first responsibility we had, there are two. One was to ensure that all the outstanding bills that were probably before us need to be processed as quickly as possible, those that were due to be processed, but also at the same time take advantage of these 100 days to get to visit all these entities across the spectrum, to get to understand how they operate, what are the challenges they are facing, how we can assist them from a legislative point of view, and also raise with them pertinent issues that we're picking from our people on the ground in terms of the challenge they have, whether it's in terms of the new transport system of e-hailing, whether it's in terms of taxis, whether in terms of buses, or even in terms of rail and so forth. So we had to get into that particular space, take the 100 days advantage, get to know each and every entity and what's happening in each and every entity. And I'm glad to stand here before you to say we had been able to complete that particular task in the 100 days. We had been able to meet intensively and in-depth discussion with about 15 entities in the space, including meeting with the department itself.
And with that then, what were some of the challenges that the committee faced in terms of exercising that mandate and a meeting with the different entities?
Look, what emerged out of this thing, which is I think is critical for us, as I said, the first thing was to really get in depth to understanding all these entities. The fact that the portfolio is so broad, you wouldn't have time to also be able to visit almost every corner of the things that we actually want to see. But we take advantage that we're still here, we have 5 years to be here, but we prioritize in the main areas where people have serious challenges and complaints. I'll give you an example. When we wanted to meet PRASA, we had to focus on going to the park station, which is the park station in Joburg, which is an intermodal facility, where the e-hailing system, the buses, the transport, the rail, the trains themselves, every other mode of transport converge there. At least the only thing that doesn't converge there is the air transport and the sea transport. But all road transport mechanics meet there, whether it's taxis, whether it's buses, cross-border buses, transport and everything. So we had to go there and understand, because there's always been a complaint around the safety in that particular space, around the cleanliness, around how inconducive the environment was. But so we had to go there. We had to meet Sanral to get to understand the challenges with some of the road projects that are actually being frustrated precisely because of the new phenomena that is now emerging in the country of the mafias who frustrate implementation. Obviously, we moved also to RTMC. You would have known that with RTMC, there's always been challenges with these issues of licenses now. Most of our people have said their licenses have expired. There's an issue around the new machines that must print these licenses. We had to zoom into that space and understand what is actually happening. Also meeting the specific department in the Department of Transport that works with RTMC, which is the licensing office, to get to understand what are the frustrations that we really had to go and even see that particular machine, address and understand what informs this particular backlog. In as far as the air is concerned, you know for sure that our people have always been complaining that flights are delayed because of the safety issues that are raised. Airports in Eastern Cape, Limpopo, they are always complaining that the ATNS systems are not working efficiently and effectively. We had to meet with the Civil Aviation Authority, meet with ATNS, get to understand where is the bridge, where is the gap, how do we assist you if it's a regulatory issue. But if it's not a regulatory issue, it's an executive issue that borders on your own executions. Because we frown upon inefficiencies, we frown upon ineffectiveness at all times, because we think that our people deserve better. Because once you miss one flight, it dig deep into your pocket.
Of course. So
we had to, but not only in terms of your pocket, but it frustrates the whole economic chain and all that. So we had to deal with that. We also had, as you know, we also had to meet with the railway safety regulator. We also had to meet with the maritime authorities, get to understand what are the challenges that are there at the sea. How does the current development in the global village of the sea, the Red Sea challenges, blockages that are there, which have diverted a lot of ship traffics into our waters. How does that impact on us? How does that impact on our people there? And we're very happy to be briefed of the high intensive work that these people are doing in this particular space. I can tell you, notwithstanding challenges that are there, we're happy as a portfolio of this legislature, portfolio of this parliament, that this work that has been done on the ground. But what we have to do ourselves is to keep our hand on the pulse, to put our finger on the pulse, so that things do not get to go offhand, at least under our nose or under our watch.
Of course, you mentioned that one of the key priorities in the 100 days was for the Portfolio Committee to get a proper induction and to get to the bottom of the entities that you're responsible for. What are some of the other key highlights and achievements that the committee has achieved for the first 100 days?
No, look, like I've said, we've already dealt with the economic regulator bill that came through us. It has challenges. We have already passed it, probably have already spoken about it. We are presenting here to the people of South Africa the merchant bill, which is also very, very interesting on the things that it wants to address. So we are happy. Like we have said, we've already completed the visit to almost all our entities. We have seen some of the major projects that are there. We have dealt with, we have already adopted our BRRR report that has been tabled now already in Parliament. So we are very happy that in the 100 days, with the collective that we work with in that particular portfolio, a collective of sober-minded men and women who are looking forward to assist the country to move forward, is quite interesting space.
Now, of course, the Portfolio Committee on Transport is working towards ensuring that it does its work in terms of lawmaking. And of course, this means that it is exercising oversight and keeping the executive to account through robust committee discussions and improving public participation and involvement through its processes. Now, let's take a look at how you can get involved and have your say with the Merchant Shipping Bill. Stay tuned.
Have your say. The Portfolio Committee on Transport invites interested people and stakeholders to submit written comments on the Merchant Shipping Bill, Bill 12 of 2023. The bill seeks to provide for the powers and duties of the Minister and the South African Maritime Safety Authority in the administration of this Act, to provide for the registration, permitting, and licensing of ships and the establishment and operation of a shipping information center in the Republic, to provide for the application of labor laws to seafarers, to provide for the conditions of employment of seafarers and the health and well-being of seafarers on board a vessel, to promote the safety of life at sea, to establish inspection and enforcement mechanisms, including those for maritime casualties and crimes committed on ships, to provide for the regulation of marine traffic, to provide for legal proceedings and jurisdictional matters, to recognize and incorporate into domestic law international conventions to which the Republic is bound in terms of the Constitution, to repeal certain acts, to promote a transitional framework for the new provisions of this Act, and to provide for matters incidental thereto. Enquiries as well as written submissions can be sent to the Portfolio Committee on Transport for attention of Ms. Valerie Karelse, or email to merchantshippingbill@parliament.gov.za. In addition to the written comments, please indicate your interest in making a verbal presentation to the committee. My Parliament, my voice, my future.
Now, you are still tuned into Parliament TV, and if you've just joined us, welcome. We are in studio with Mr. Donald Sulamulela, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, unpacking the committee's work, commitments, and the Merchant Shipping Bill. Now, Chair, we've spoken about the 100 days. Let's talk about your oversight visits. Which are some of the entities that the committee went out to visit during the oversight visit period of Parliament?
Yeah, like I said, we would have visited almost all these entities in their offices and where they operate. And we would have visited areas of interest on the things that we would have had interest on. One of the entities, obviously, that we visited also that I should have mentioned, because it's at the heart of South African people, is the Road Accident Fund. You know that there's always been a lot of noise around the Road Accident Fund. We're getting closer to that particular space to really understand what are the challenges that are there and how best can we use our legislative power to impact positively towards resolving assisting them to resolve the challenges that are there. We have met with the board, we met with the executive there, and then we are also happy to a great extent with the work that they are doing to resolve the impasses and the challenges that are there. We have, for instance, like I said, like earlier said, we visited Praza, we went to the park station. We also went to their Gibela plant where they are actually manufacturing trains. You'll be happy to know that in South Africa we can produce a train, we can start it just from a metal sheet to producing a moving train. And this is the contract that was issued by the government of South Africa back in 2013-14. We were able to go and see that in action, where we started to see the first sheet coming and also going out to see a train moving out in that particular plant. Something very, very marvelous. And we have implored on them also that this is the information that must go out to the people of South Africa. Our people must be able to know and see this particular thing. Like I said, on the licensing department, we had to go there literally to see that machine that is causing problems. This is the machine that, you know, there's also been a challenge around the procurement of new machines and so forth. The minister is dealing with that together with the relevant administrators. But at least we know now what is happening everywhere. We have seen everything that we had to see. So that's what's very, very important for us.
And of course, let's talk about some of the findings that the committee had throughout the oversight visits. Of course, with that, What are some of the challenges that sort of go through the all the entities? For example, you listen to other committees and they will say that the issue of ensuring that there is vacancies, that there are people that are fulfilling these vacancies, that there are people that are doing the job. So what are some of the challenges that you have seen throughout these the entities?
Look, one of the challenges that is peculiar to this space, or to almost all our entities, is the issue revolving around irregular expenditure. You know, as an oversight body, we frown upon what the Public Finance Management Act refers to as unwanted expenditures. It doesn't matter which of the unwanted expenditure, whether fruitless, wasteful, or irregular. We frown upon that. We have implored on all these entities that we are not going to afford a situation where any of our entity continue to have an increasing irregular expenditure. And we have said it must start with the department, it must trickle down to all the entities. Who will not be able to appreciate that. And I think there is a commitment from all and sundry, because everyone is agreeing. And we have said those that need to start the process of condonations, let them condone. We cannot have the expenditure that is irregular expenditure that has been accumulating over time, and when we ask you, you say no, but we are trying to condone this. At a particular time, you must be able to clear the past, and we do not want to see any new irregular expenditure, because according to us, irregular expenditure sends a message of poor planning, and we do not want to even be entertaining that. And where you are justified to have committed irregular expenditure, you need to move in terms of the legal regimen that is there to clear it in terms of condonation with treasury and so forth. So there can never be justification why we have in our books irregular expenditure. Of course, the entities that have not been employing where there are shortage of staff and so forth, we have implored on them. Quickly ensure that vacancies are filled. In a country that is a challenge with unemployment, you cannot continue to afford a situation where one funded post is not being filled for some time, and you even shift those particular budgets and so forth. We cannot afford that. We have implored on the in as far as the rail is concerned, that look, the issue relating to returning back the trains, you know, the trains play a very, very important role economically. Because, you know, I always give you an example of the personal experience I had. When we were here in Parliament, we had a story that a train has derailed in Paarl, and we had to rush there to go and really see what's happening. And when we were there, after all the interventions, at least Transnet responded, TRASA responded, the Railway Safety Regulator responded, and the matter was resolved. But what stuck with me in my mind is how when we walked on the town of Paarl, ordinary members were pleading with us because we're wearing the protective gear of printed prasa, and everyone was saying to us, we understand this thing, we really sincerely wish you best of luck in resolving this problem, but our special request is one, can you not take time to return that train back to operation? Because it saves us money, it makes more money in the household, because for a journey that we used to make from Paarl to Cape Town, where we actually spend 200 with a train, we're spending almost 2.4 to 3,000 a month. So that 3,000, when it's not spent on a means of transport, it is back used in the household, and it circulates in the local economy and makes our people to get job, makes the sustainability, food security in the household, and so forth. So that's also the experience we have got when we went to Gauteng. And the people are calling that let's have more and more trains, which must be reliable, which must be affordable, which must be available on time. We'll be glad that we've also met, we'll be meeting the taxi industry recently, because related to train is the taxi industry. But we have had a briefing recently with the minister a day ago and the team from the department that deals with the transformation of the taxi industry through what we call the recapitalization program. And we have implored on them, they are introducing new regimes, they're trying to review because the taxi recapitalization program did not achieve at a greater scale what it was intended to achieve when it was introduced in 2007, because the main intent of it was that first we need to assist to transform the taxi industry, but also ensure safety in the transport industry. These two most important imperatives have not been achieved thus far. And we have said to the Minister, we are not going to be smiling in as far as this program is concerned, but we are happy that you are introducing the reviews. We are going to be on your neck, we are going to be on the neck of your department in as far as this matter is concerned, because it is not a matter to joke about. The safety of our commuters is not something that we take light or for granted. And the transformation of every industry, aspect of this transport industry across the board, we don't joke about it.
And Chair, just lastly, in terms of your oversight visits and the oversight function of the committee, what are some of the commitments that the committee has made to ensure efficient and effective running of the entities that you bear responsibility over?
Where we have a responsibility, we have said to them, don't take time to approach us where you think there is a legislative impediment. Yes. You correctly said it. I've seen your advert where you are saying one of the major roles of the parliament is to deal with making laws. Yes. We are prepared, and we said to them across all of them, all the entities, don't take time where you think the laws that we've put in place are failing you to assist the to achieve the transformation agenda, to achieve the intent of an object of your portfolio, of your sector. We are prepared at all material time to move as speedily as possible when you come to us with proposed laws that we must introduce. We'll do that without fear or favor and without prejudice. We'll do that as speedily as it can be possible.
Now, oversight is but one of the important responsibilities that all parliamentary committees must fulfill. Another responsibility is ensuring public participation and involvement in the processes of the work of Parliament. The Portfolio Committee on Transport is currently working on the Merchant Shipping Bill, and here is how you can have your say on it. Stay tuned.
Have your say. The Portfolio Committee on Transport invites interested people and stakeholders to submit written comments on the Merchant Shipping Bill, Bill 12 of 2023. The bill seeks to provide for the powers and duties of the Minister and the South African Maritime Safety Authority in the administration of this Act, to provide for the registration, permitting, and licensing of ships and the establishment and operation of a shipping information center in the Republic, to provide for the application of labor laws to seafarers, to provide for the conditions of employment of seafarers and the health and well-being of seafarers on board a vessel, to promote the safety of life at sea, to establish inspection and enforcement mechanisms, including those for maritime casualties and crimes committed on ships, to provide for the regulation of marine traffic, to provide for legal proceedings and jurisdictional matters, to recognize and incorporate into domestic law international conventions to which the Republic is bound in terms of the Constitution, to repeal certain acts, to promote a transitional framework for the new provisions of this Act, and to provide for matters incidental thereto. Enquiries as well as written submissions can be sent to the Portfolio Committee on Transport for attention of Ms. Valerie Karelse, or email to merchantshippingbill@parliament.gov.za. In addition to the written comments, please indicate your interest in making a verbal presentation to the committee. My Parliament, my voice, my future.
That was information on how you can have your say on the Merchant Shipping Bill that is currently before the Portfolio Committee on Transport. We are still in studio with the Chairperson, Mr. Donald Silamulela, about to share everything that you need to know about the Merchant Shipping Bill. Chair, of course, the committee bears the responsibility of fulfilling and the lawmaking processes. Just tell us briefly what the Merchant Shipping Bill is and what it wants to achieve.
Maybe I must start by indicating that we have released the Merchant Shipping Bill to the public now for comments. We are calling on the members of the public, interested parties in the maritime space, in our sea otters, and everyone to comment and give inputs in as far as the Merchant Shipping Bill is concerned. So the Merchant Shipping Bill, B12 of 2023, one of the things that it seeks to deal with in the main is the safety in our seas. You know, like I've indicated earlier, that our seas and our waters are supposed to be the safest place because they play a very important role in as far as the economy is concerned. So this bill is one about ensuring that the safety of the seafarers there, ensuring the safety of everyone who uses our boats, our vessels there. But also through this merchant shipping bill, we want to also introduce a sense of labor laws for our seafarers. One of the things that has been an outcry, for sure we have heard over time that there's been an outcry about how those who work in these ships, in these vessels, complain from time to time about being ill-treated and so forth. So we want to ensure that the labor laws that apply in that particular space, but also to deal with the crimes that are committed in our waters. Crimes that are also committed on board in terms of our ships and our vessels. We need to really regulate that particular space. You must know jurisdiction. If you commit this, what is going to happen and how. That platform, that clarity needs to be clear. But also we're going to be using this bill, to deal with South Africa, like as a part of the global village, is part of various international instruments, international laws and conventions that it subscribed to. So we need to use this bill to domesticate some of those things so that they can also apply on us, so that we continue to play a very important space in the family of nations, especially in the marine space, in the water space. That one, we must continue to remain the safest water place. That is why even now, like I said earlier, when there are challenges in the Red Sea, blockages that are there, our seas here are used as an alternative path, either to the east or to the west. We remain a central point across the globe that needs to be a proper safe passage, and we need to use this bill also to deal with that. So this is a very, very important bill that deals with a cross-border spectrum in as far as our sea waters are concerned.
Of course, you spoke about safety. You spoke about not just the safety of the passengers, but also the safety of the laborers and how those labor conditions should be improved. How does then the bill measure? How will it measure and enhance safety standards for these ships and crews?
Look, when the bill is passed, then it will then, as an empowering statute, it will then give a room for establishment of certain regulations that will then feed into this particular object of whether safety in terms of how the seafarers, how those who use our ships, how those everyone in these particular ships, how they must be treated and how they must be regulated in terms of conduct, behavior, and so forth. And what are the things, support of those who own these vessels, who own these ships? What are the minimum things that they must do in terms of safety of all the users? That's very, very important. So the bill will introduce the regulation in relation to that. It will also be prescriptive in terms of classifying crimes that are committed there and the possible punishment that one should get when he actually commits certain crimes there, because these crimes flows down either in terms of damaging the environment in the sea, damaging our marine life in the sea. So we need to regulate the safety across the board, not only of the users, but also ensuring that we use the bill to pass regulation that will regulate the interrelationship with the environment. Of course, there are regulations and bills, acts that deals with environmental matters in the sea. Now, these will also serve to substantiate and support those particular pieces of legislation. Now, regulations that will trickle in will also be able to enhance this merchant shipping bill when it becomes an act into actually being an empowering statute.
And I assume that then that's also how the bill addresses emerging issues such as climate change and digitization.
Definitely, definitely. It's also about that. How to ensure that we take advantage of the advancement and in technology to manage some of these challenges that are there, but also over and above that, how to then ensure that this digitalization speaks to the safety in the sea, how to also to monitor some of this, and not just monitor, but also to prohibit some of the crimes that could be committed, because you do not create a space for crime to happen so that we can be punitive. At all material time, we must put systems that are prohibits some of these particular actions.
And Chair, final words of encouragement to interested South Africans, stakeholders, public entities within the sector to participate and make submissions to the Merchant Bill.
Look, this is a very important opportunity for all and sundry to contribute progressively into building, safe waters for all our people. Someone who's in Limpopo may say, I don't have interest in that because there's no sea where I am. But every other thing that we get, most of the things we get in this country, we get them through the sea. So protection of the sea is not only for people who stay in Cape Town. Ensuring safety of our sea sufferers is not only for the people who stay in Durban. It's for all and sundry. That's first thing. We also call the industry to input, because the challenge is that often at times the industry, when the process of making laws starts, they don't comment. And when the bill is passed into an act, they now complain that but this bill doesn't address this, doesn't address that. I'm happy I've already get comments from, I think, from the organized labor, from COSATU. They've already commented on certain things that they feel are not addressed in the bill, and I'm very happy that at a particular time those things will be reintegrated, and they've already pledged that they're going to participate fully in terms of these inputs, giving inputs into this particular bill. Because they are responsible for workers, so the safety of the sea sufferers it becomes very, very important for them as an organization. But we call organized labor, we call our people in general, we call everyone to be, and I don't just want to say interested stakeholders, I think we call South Africans to participate in this lawmaking process. And it doesn't end with the merchant shipping bill, it goes across the board. When there are laws that are being introduced by Parliament, we need to proactively input into them, because at the end of the day, these laws are going to regulate all of us. We are public representatives. Our role is to just make laws on behalf and at the behest of the very people who brought here the more than 40 million South Africans.
Thank you for making the time, Chair.
Thank you very much.
That was the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Transport, Mr. Donald Silamulela, reflecting on the first 100 days of the committee's establishment, the oversight visit of the committee during the National Assembly's Oversight Week, and the Merchant Shipping Bill, which you still have the opportunity to make submissions and have your say in. Of course, for more information on the work of Parliament and the Portfolio Committee on Transport, visit our website at www.parliament.gov.za. To stay informed about Parliament's engagements, follow, like, and subscribe on all our social media networks at Parliament of RSA, and have your say by joining the conversation and sharing your views. It is, after all, your Parliament, your voice, your future. Thank you for watching Parliament TV. I am Tepa Mori. Take care.